I always knew I had an entrepreneur in me. Like, I loved when we were a Boy Scout selling the candy bars or whatever. Just that feeling of not how much I sold, but that someone chose us, right?
Sure.
Someone said to me, he goes, because I talked to him, I was like, I'm so scared about starting my own business. He goes, are you willing to work? I said, yes. He goes, then the work will always be there. And then I had another guy tell me, he goes, the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk at all. I'll never forget that. And I said, I'll never be on my deathbed with this regret of never starting my own business. I said, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Welcome to the Shaw Strength Podcast, and today we have a fun podcast. We've actually got multiple people at the table. So we've got Matt and Gnon DuBoise. We're talking about the last name before, DuBoise. What's the right way to say it?
You nailed it. I get asked that a lot. What is the right way to say it? And I don't know if there is a right way, but I can say DuBoise, the original. So, but here in America, DuBoise is the go-to.
Love it, love it. So we've got our wives joining us, which is fun, right? This is kind of something actually last minute, because we had talked about doing a podcast, and you're like, hey, I think it'd be pretty cool to, bring the wives in, the other halves, and get their side of the story too.
Better halves.
The better
halves in.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally asked about this about like 2 seconds ago, if this was a possibility, because what's happened over the past year of you and I talking, I've gotten to know you, I've gotten to know Keri, and I've seen what you guys do online and a lot of the questions that you guys have had us about this project with the chicken coop. And I can't help but, as an entrepreneur, I see the similarities. We have two completely different backgrounds, but yet the similarities are the same that help us get to what we call success. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just thought, who better to have the wives here? Because at the end of the day, what I have learned, I've been with Gnon 17 years in business, 28 years as partners. I know it's been a long time. We are nothing without them, in my opinion. Yeah. And in today's day, it gets a little debatable about all that. But I tell you, I would not be who I am and without Gnon always there supporting us. And when you have a family business, people don't realize you got your 9-to-5 job, there's business, whatever. It doesn't get real, right, until you go home. And then next thing you know, you're talking about the real stuff, like how are we going to make payroll or whatever it is. Sure. And then, so I'm just can't thank you guys enough. Gnon, thank you for being here. Keri, thank you for being here, because it was definitely at the last minute. Yeah.
Speaking of payroll.
Yeah, I know. We got payroll to do today.
Yep. It's always that business stuff,
There's
right?
always something.
Yeah. Keri was saying that last night. We got back from a day out, like a field trip that we took with our boys. And she was like, I have a list of work items to do. And then I had a call at 10 o'clock at night, just because it was from a different part of the world. And so I'm on a call, she's doing all that. But that's the life that you live. A lot of people don't realize that's what it is. It's like, so a lot of people go to work and then they're done with work and then they go do whatever they want. Right. For us, it's and this is just the way that it is. Work doesn't stop. Never. It never stops. Yep. Right. So it's not like you don't get, that is not time that is there. It's just every single day there's something else, and every single hour of every day. And most of the time it's ending the day with work and then starting the day with work. Right. Yeah. So but if you love it, it's not like, you don't think of it that way. Right. So
you really can't help it. Yeah. And it almost becomes addicting. Yeah. I can tell you, there's been moments for me that I remember if Gnon and I tried to take a day off, we felt guilty. Yep. And that's disturbing. That's really, really sad. Yep. And, it's
more so it was frustrating for me, because you just know you're making more work for yourself tomorrow.
Yeah. So we finally got to a point in our business where I'm like, Gnon, we have a team. Okay. They're really, really good people. Are they perfect? No. Okay. And they're never going to be, but we got to start cutting the cord. And I would beg her to go, even if it's a business trip, even like on this trip to come out and see you, I'm begging her at the last minute. And I think it was like 10 o'clock at night. You're like, okay, fine. And we'll bring the kids. And she's booking the plane tickets around the plane at 4 a.m. That's just the life we live. And then my kids don't know any different, but she will always tell me, if I take this time off, even if I'm working on the road, I come back, it's 3 times more work for me. And to me, that's not why we're in business. You know what I mean? It's like, what is this fairy tale of owning a business? But yet we're addicted to it. I am. Yeah. I can't not work.
I always say, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to go on the trip, or is it worth it to go do this or that? Because the makeup after of last night, I was sending payments during the 10 to 11 p.m. meeting, I was finishing end of the month. And he's like, oh, it's not the end of the world. I'm like, it is to me. It is the end of the world because when I tell someone I'm going to do that, I am going to do that. And so is it worth it to go on the trip because the makeup of what I have to do to catch up either before or after, is it worth it?
Yeah. So I don't think I said at the start, you guys own Carolina Coops. And just for everybody, tuning in, listening, watching, Keri and I have been really excited about getting a chicken coop for quite some time. And we've talked about it, and I was doing a lot of research as I do. Is like, okay, I'm going to, try to learn everything that I can learn. And it's like, I'm excited about these chickens. And we're
obsessive
talking about
research.
Yeah. And so through that research, I came across Carolina Coops, right? And so I reached out to you guys because I was like, this, is the best, right? From everything I can see, Carolina Coops, the best. So I want to work with the best. I'm excited about this. And so I reached out, and it was kind of one of these, back and forth a little bit like, oh, hey, I don't know, because you guys are based in North Carolina. So how would that work and all of this? But, obviously you've built this business up to that point, and that is how our paths cross. So I think it's, it's important for people listening just to get a reference point of, how our back and forth started. And you said earlier is like, oh, we've been talking for a year, which is true. And then it's kind of led us to this point, which is super exciting, where now we're outside looking at an amazing chicken coop that we're so pumped about. So I want to learn the backstory, right? Like this is, we're kind of talking about business and jumping in a little bit, but it's like everybody's, got a backstory, especially when you're an entrepreneur, and there's, it doesn't all start with what you have today, right? Like that's not the starting point. There was a starting point a long time ago with a vision and where you were trying to go. So I want to learn about that. Yeah. We could get tissues. Yeah. Yeah. But it's fun. Like it's fun to learn that because obviously we can interject with some of it. Mainly I want to learn, what was the vision? Where did you want to go? Like, where did it start? Where did the passion come from?
Sure. And what's funny is,
I'm fine.
it's hard.
No, it's awesome.
I get asked that a lot. Like, how did it start? Why did it start? And I can't help but ask myself, where did it start? Because I really don't know. When we really step back and think,
did you have chickens growing up?
I did, and I would have to say that is my go-to story about the initial spark.
Okay.
And I've learned in business, I've learned in life, I've learned when I ask my team when they're troubleshooting, I was like, where's the initial spark of the idea, whatever. It's an interesting story because I'm really realizing what we go through in our childhood definitely affects who we are as an adult, good or bad, right? And I was that typical boy that was never meant to sit at a desk and try to study and learn. It's not happening, right? But when you're a little boy, in the 80s, you think that's all there is to learning. And so when you're sitting there, you feel like a complete failure because you cannot keep up with a lot of the other classmates, especially the girls, because they're so smart and they can sit still and blah, blah, blah. So I felt I was really stupid. And I'll never forget fifth grade. Fifth grade, it was about the springtime. My teacher, who was probably the teacher that hated me the most. She just hated me. Why, I don't know. But anyways, so she comes walking in the springtime into class, and she's got this styrofoam container that looks like a spaceship, right? And she has a dozen eggs or 2 dozen eggs, something like that. I'm thinking, what in the world? For some reason, I was just drawn to it. And so she started telling us, we're going to hatch baby chicks. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Hatch them? So we started the process of incubating these eggs, right? And I became obsessed with it. I remember it was probably about week 3 where the humidity was getting a little off. The temperature wasn't quite where it needs to be because you don't have a lot of wiggle room when you're incubating eggs. And I remember going over to my teacher, and she's really, really tall. And I was like, Miss Annunziata, the humidity's off. I got to go out and get some more water. It's low. I got to add some water in there, right? And she looks down at me, and I remember that look. She's like, where the hell did you just come from all of a sudden? And I knew what she meant. I was like, I'm learning.
That's awesome.
So the baby chicks hatch. And again, I'm obsessed with it. I'm helping take care of them. All the classmates are there helping take care of them. Friday rolls around. Okay. So I want to say we probably had 2 dozen baby chicks. Friday comes around, and the teacher is going to pick think it was like 5 or 6 students. Who's going to be able to take the baby chicks home over the weekend, take care of them, and bring them back on Monday, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, what an amazing opportunity. I hope she picks me, right? So she goes down the list picking people, and I was the last person she picked. I couldn't believe it. She's like kept me on the edge of my seat. And when she said my name, I remember a handful of students going, oh no, not Matt. Why Matt? They're all gonna die, right? And I remember, I'm so excited I got picked, so I'm on this high over here, and in my mind, I'm giving them the middle finger, like screw you, right? Yeah. So I go home that afternoon with the baby chicks. I remember my dad, for whatever reason, who's my hero. He came home and he was madder than hell at me. I don't know what it is. I never really asked him, but I didn't really care. So I had these baby chicks. I made a brooder for them in my bedroom. And I don't know if you remember Radio Shack. We had those little walkie-talkies with the orange button, right? So I remember I had 2 of them, so they could talk to each other. I taped the button shut, or so that the walkie-talkie was actuated inside the brooder with the baby chicks, right? And I would walk around my house doing whatever, just thinking I'm cool, and I could hear the baby chicks if they're starting to stress or whatnot. Anyway, so Monday morning comes around. I bring back all my baby chicks alive. All the other kids did not bring their baby chicks back alive. They're all dead.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
It was at that moment I was like, maybe I got something here. And I said, when I get older, I'm going to have some chickens. It's just that simple, right?
Yep.
So fast forward to when we moved to Durham. We moved to Durham in 2008. Durham, North Carolina, getting out of upstate New York. And we just wanted a life change. And honestly, at that point, I was an exterminator, and I was, as crazy as this sounds, overpaid and underworked. I was bored out of my mind. So I told Nan, I said, we're going to move to North Carolina. We're going to start a new life, right? Cool. Heavily medicated myself because we had to live with my sister for a while. And that's a whole nother story.
that could be interesting.
That was the only point in my time, or my whole entire life, that I actually ran for fun.
That's right.
Just to get out.
Just to get out.
Okay.
And I took my bulldog with me.
Yeah, we had an English bulldog. We had to run, which I know may sound awful. He had to be ran. Anyways.
4 miles a day for this little dog.
Oh, man. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we bought our first house in the city of Durham, and I was like, I want to go get some chickens, right? And we're starting to fall on hard times. We got our first house. It was tough to pay the bills. She couldn't find a job, and she was the breadwinner. She's been a bartender since she could walk pretty much, so she made all the money. And then I moved down south, found out about the Good Old Boy Club. I didn't know how much they hate us Yankees, but I understand it now. Don't blame them. So it was tough. We fell in really, really hard times. But I wanted these chickens, and we had no money to go out and buy materials to build a chicken coop. So as an exterminator, I was finding these dumpsters because of the construction. And I was like, just got curious one day, crawled in there. I found wood. I was like, man, I could use that to build that chicken coop. So I started to build a chicken coop, and I'm doing my research, and I go to Nan. I said, we're going to go get a couple chickens. And you said what to me?
That's the most disgusting thing you have ever said to me.
And of course, me being me, I said, well, I don't care. We're going to go do it, right? Yeah. So I went, built this nice little chicken coop, and I went and got a couple chickens. Again, having no clue what I'm doing. Got them, raised them to about, I think it had to be about 21, 22 weeks, and that's when they laid their first eggs. And I promise you, when you guys have this experience, you're going to enjoy it. When you get your first eggs, cherish that moment, remember it. Because you're going to get thousands and thousands of eggs after that, but you always remember your first egg, right? Yeah. I remember getting those eggs, and they're still warm. They were just laid. And at the time, I don't think we even had a stove in our kitchen. I had to go to the gas grill outside, right? And I wanted to fry an egg because I've heard how amazing these backyard eggs taste, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's see, right? I crack it on that frying pan. I go, oh my gosh, they're right. When you crack that fresh egg on that frying pan, you know it's a fresh egg, and from eggs that are eating food that they should be eating. The egg doesn't just lay out flat like we're used to with store-bought eggs.
And it's not bright yellow either.
Right. The yolk is very, very dark golden color. Awesome. And it's very, very tight because they're so fresh and they're unbelievably. So I fried it up, ate it, was sold after that. It was so good. So then I discovered chicken math. So we needed to get a bigger chicken coop because I wanted to get more chicken. So chicken math is very real. I'm not sure if I have warned you guys about chicken math.
We had a little bit of a conversation about that.
Okay, so
I think that's why the
coop is so
stature of his coop outside.
The coop is kind of large.
Right.
I wanted to get more chickens, but I needed to build a bigger chicken coop. So I started to find materials, build a bigger chicken coop, and I was like, I have this nice little chicken coop. I'm not going to use it. I could use some money. Let me sell it on Craigslist. And I'll never forget that moment sitting at my laptop. I see the picture. It's on Craigslist. And I'm like, who the hell's going to buy this little tiny, it's a 2 foot by 4 foot hen house, basically. Yeah. I'm like, who in the world's going to buy that? So I said, you know what? Post, hit that button. And within 30 minutes, it was sold for $200.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. And that was like winning the lotto for us back then. I think maybe that
was winning the electric bill for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and I'll never forget the lady coming to our house to buy it. And I was like, you sure this is just a chicken coop? She goes, oh yeah, a lot of people are in the backyard chickens. I was like, really? So I left the post up and I had a girl call me to buy that little coop. I said, I'm sorry, I've already sold it, but I have a bigger one that I'm building right now. If you like it, I'll sell it to you. So I sent her the pictures. She goes, I love it. How much? I said, I think it was like $2,000. She goes, sold. I was like, what in the world is going on here?
And the rest is history.
Couldn't tell you my next chicken coop. And that was 17 years ago. Going on 18 years now. It's unbelievable.
Isn't that crazy? I in sixth grade we incubated eggs and hatched them, and I got that in sixth grade. So that was a really cool experience. So it's funny hearing you say that. And my fifth grade teacher also disliked me a lot.
What year? What year were you in fifth grade? I don't know if we can bring those numbers up.
Gosh, what would that be?
Because I know why my teacher hated me. It was election year.
Oh, we were
Bush at the caucus.
Really? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But anyways, she muskrats me.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I don't. I actually don't know why. But I was disliked, but it's probably because I always wanted to go to recess. That's probably why. But
or you always wanted to go to lunch.
Yeah, lunch or recess.
Were you always were you big when you were little?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was always that way. But yeah, incubating the eggs was so cool. I thought that was so cool. And that particular teacher was awesome. So I got a great experience in sixth grade. Mr. Swanson, he was amazing. But he had a python too. In the back, we had like a science lab room, and the python was in there. It was awesome.
That's
so
cool.
if you were good and got good grades, you got to hold the python or help hold it because it was like 4 or 5.
Oh, nice.
So the best, I think it was like the best test scores got to hold the snake, which was a big honor. So
I would
it's
purposely
wild.
fail.
Did you ever incubate eggs? Did you ever do that?
I think
school?
we did in school as well. Ironically enough, I grew up on a farm, but we had chickens, but we definitely didn't. I don't remember the whole process of incubating and stuff like that. I don't recall a lot. We won't touch too much on that, but childhood can, I don't want to say make or break you, but helps mold you. And I don't know if I have some really strong memories and some things I just try to forget.
Yeah, but it's crazy how that fostered such a love for that and a passion, right? That like that light bulb in a way. Like that's what's interesting to me.
And that's what, we were talking about that earlier, that a lot of times these sparks come from our darkest days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm so fascinated with that now because so many people suffer for whatever reason. And I know when we were starting our business, it was hell for first 3-4 years. I mean, you could still argue it's hell, but
are we out of that phase yet?
Someone asked me the other day.
Get out of that phase?
Yeah, it's. We've grown a lot, which I'm very thankful for, but it doesn't mean things get better. If anything, it gets harder.
Sure.
And I've realized owning a business. Yes, I have my dreams, I have my goals, and I have my vision board in my mind. But it's like you just become a bigger dog, still chasing your tail.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Were you doing that work out of your garage then initially? Was that kind of the workshop? And
So at our house we bought, it was a 4-car garage. It was a pretty decent garage. And I said, oh my gosh, this is my wood shop. I've always loved woodworking. I remember my dad's wooden scraps. I'd build little wooden robots as a kid. So I've always loved doing woodworking. And I started building out of that garage. But when we realized she couldn't find a job, this is 2008. So this is when the recession hit.
Yeah, so everything is kind of not good. Yeah.
It's crazy, right? And I had a really hard time with the company I was working for down in the South. And so we started building the coops, and I was building a coop a week, still having a full-time job. I got to the point of exhaustion where I couldn't even carry on a conversation. And I remember we found out we're gonna have a baby boy on the way. And before, we had Mikey, my son, I was smart enough to know I'm very selfish. There's no way in the world I should be a father. I'm too greedy, too selfish, just too many things I want to do. But when he was born, my whole life changed. And I realize now why people say your children make you so much better. And that's when I realized it's all about them, not me anymore. I mean, I sold my Harley, so it's all about
another one.
Well, but now they're older. But it's all about the children. So I'll never forget. It was probably doing it for three years, where I was exhausted. I remember watching Mikey ride his bike for the first time out on the driveway while I'm in the shop working.
Yeah.
And I said, I missed it.
Sure.
And I said, no more. And I talked to a couple business owners, and they gave me some amazing advice because I was scared out of my mind. Because I was thinking about quitting my job as an exterminator, because I did it for so long.
Because you're doing this on the side while you're still working full time. So and a lot of entrepreneurs, that's how you have to make it work, because it's not like the bankroll is there to just go, oh, hey, I'm going to transition over to this. And
there is no bankroll.
Yeah.
There is no bankroll. And I was just exhausted. And I remember when I was like, you know what? I think I might have something here. I always knew I had an entrepreneur in me. Like I loved when we were a Boy Scout selling the candy bars or whatever, just that feeling of not how much I sold, but that someone chose us, right?
Sure.
And I remember someone said to me, he goes, because I talked to him, I was like, I'm so scared about starting my own business. He goes, are you willing to work? I said, yes. He goes, then the work will always be there. And then I had another guy tell me, he goes, the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk at all. I'll never forget that.
Such good advice.
Yeah. And I said, I'll never be on my deathbed with this regret of never starting my own business. I said, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're not going to take my kids away. They're not going to take my birthday away.
Sure.
I'm not going to lose. Hopefully we're not losing on. Like, she's my everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not? What's stopping me right now? What's this fear that I got to have this house with a white picket fence and blah, blah, blah. So I said, screw that. I'm going to quit my job. Ended up buying a sawmill, of all things. I thought it'd be cool to build coops out of all these trees that are being cut down. I'm going to have easy lumber.
Easy.
Nearly killed me.
That's probably a lot of work.
It's an incredible amount of work. How I survived.
Yeah.
I don't know how I survived. I should have died a couple times. We did a coop for Duke University. That put me in the hospital. We resawed these 200-year-old antique heart pine beams. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yep, sure do.
But it taught me how to be an amazing woodworker. If you're listening to this right now and you want to get into woodworking, there's no better way than start right at the tree. It taught me so much about woodworking, being forced to cut
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. When we ended up moving back to New York, of all places, it got so bad. I'll never forget Nan telling me, she goes, I'm not leaving you, but I'm going back to my old job, because they loved her and we needed to make the money.
Sure.
So she went back to New York, and I sold my house, thank God, in like 30 seconds. And that's when I actually thought the business was going to go under. And
because you were still doing the work.
Oh yeah. So we were still doing so I ended up quitting my job at Ecolab and went full time building coops, but we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I barely made it out of high school. It was so hard to figure out how to run a business. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Neither one of us went to school for any of this.
Right.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Yep. Same. We just say, figure it out as you go.
Yeah. Well, so what ended up being one of my secrets is I had no choice. When a customer would come to us to build something, we didn't just do chick coops. Thank God we also had some people that wanted furniture, right? Yeah. And we had no choice but to just nod our head, say, yeah, we'll build that, right? And the customer walks away. I look at now, we're like, how the hell are we going to do this?
Because now you have to do it.
Right.
You have to.
I'm like, why did you do this?
Yeah.
There's no time and there's no,
we don't have time. We don't have money. We don't have the resources. We don't have the tools. We don't even know how to do this. What do you mean we're going to build a table that moves and expands and shrinks and has a lazy Susan in the middle?
All out of reclaimed barnwood. I tell you why.
Yeah.
I tell you why.
That's something.
Why would you do this to me?
Yeah. And the reason why I did it is at that point when we started doing that, I realized when a customer came to me with something that made me scared, that's when I started to get excited. Because I realized I could figure out anything just by going on YouTube.
That's crazy.
So I tell people I didn't make it out. I barely made it out of high school, but I got a PhD in YouTube.
Just watching whatever needed to be done.
It's accurate.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Teach yourself, but it's kind of like that trial and error, but being willing to do it, because that all of the stuff you just said right there, I'm sure there's so many people out there that had maybe something that fired them up, or some kind of that spark, that light bulb that went off, that they were so scared to start, they never started, and they are that person that ends up at the end of their life and they're like, you know what, I never took a chance. Yep. Right? Like I took the easy way, and it was this. I never wanted to jump out, take that leap of faith and go for it. Right? So it's kind of, and now also even though you're talking about different memories, you've created all of those memories, right? Stuff you've gone through that has led you to this point, right? Yeah. So like you have, these ups and downs and this amazing story to tell about what you've gone through to get to where you are, right? Which is amazing, right? So it's kind of like, and I would hope that, and Keri and I talk about this quite a bit, is like you go through these challenges because, as we kind of said at the beginning, people don't realize, like, when you're going through that, I guarantee every conversation, like leading up to bed, or if you go out to dinner, or if you are just spending time together, it's like, hey, business this. What's going to happen with the business? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And it ends up being one of these things where it's like consuming, right? So, and you're pouring your heart, you're pouring your soul into it, and there's people then relying on you to make it happen. Like there's layers to it that keep going, which is what people don't realize. And it's like, and then I guarantee now there are people that say, oh, Matt, it must be nice. Must be really nice.
Oh, they have no clue.
Right? But it's like, you can't go back to the dumpster where I'm pulling wood out of a dumpster to build a chicken coop because I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the part that I pick up on as I'm hearing it, because it's like, and we were just in the gym earlier with me. It's like, I want to do strongman. I don't have any money. I don't have any equipment. I got a guy that's got some scrap metal and he could weld it together. All right, cool. Let's do that, right? Like, and make that happen. And it's like, I couldn't even pay him to weld it, but luckily he was excited and wanted to do it, but then you have it, and then now you've got a tool, right? And then it's like, okay, I can branch off from this and I can do different things. So it's like you have this starting point, but also, if it was all there at the beginning, it wouldn't be good either. Right?
I think it wouldn't work. It would destroy you in a way that you would never realize. It's so much better to have to build from nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized, is the things I was learning by having to dumpster dive. And I actually fell in love with it. Yeah. I loved when I found something I needed, but I didn't realize the hardship that we were going through was necessary to be successful. Because when you're building a business from nothing, and on top of it, nobody was doing chicken coops like we do. Yeah. But it taught us the things that we needed to know today to run a business. And it's not complicated when you really think about it. It's about starting off with having a dream, a set of some guts, if you will.
Sure.
And a willingness to, failure is not an option. You just don't give up.
Yep.
And we still have that today, but we've learned so much, but it's like, it is a never ending cycle. But I tell you, if we didn't go through what we went through in the beginning, if we just went to a bank and borrowed some money and, we got this idea for this coop that we designed, we had the engineers check it and blah, 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 blah. No, you will not survive because you don't know what it takes to run a business.
Yeah.
I have people like, it must be nice. I'm like, I won't even respond to them anymore. Like, they have no idea how there is no time off, especially in the beginning. If we had an hour Christmas morning, that was a miracle. That was it.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if we would still come out in the black if we tried that normal business process now. I don't think we could.
No. And we had every dollar we earned was literally blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
And, and it was like recently, I don't know if I can mention on the podcast, like we were asked to be on Shark Tank twice, and I refused to because I couldn't say the words they wanted me to say. And that was, how much money how much ownership am I willing to give up in my business to have them on board? And I said, that's like asking me, how much will I sell my child's arm for?
Yeah.
Not going to do it. You know what I mean? And I don't need the money. And thankfully that was true. But if you go and borrow money, you will not spend it the same way.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it just teaches you things you didn't realize you were learning.
Sure. Well, especially when decisions are hard to make, right? Because it's not an endless supply of, we can just do whatever we want and there's no repercussion, right?
Oh, the open checkbook theory.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So like right now we struggle with, I do anyways, trying to get employees to understand why I get so upset over the little things, the communication or whatnot. And it's because they have the protection of working for a company.
Yeah.
We don't have that protection. If we don't keep hustling and figuring out tomorrow, the business goes under.
Yep.
You know, and that's,
You are the company.
yeah,
And they also lose their job if you lose the company.
that's right. Yeah, and they just don't understand it. So I'm right now literally going through that growing phase of accepting that they're just never going to get it. My dad used to say that all the time. He's like, Matt, they're never going to care as much as you do. And it's like, why don't they? Why don't they? And I tell you, I had a meeting out in Vegas at the Builders Show with another builder who has a very similar background as I do. I mean, he ended up living in his car and whatnot. What he told me was such a valuable lesson. And it was a double lesson in one. I'll never forget this. He said to me, he goes, Matt, I completely understand. You got to understand, though, your employees, your 80 is their 100. Mm-hmm. And I never thought of it that way. And then what I also realized is how important it is to understand your perception of a situation. Because you can have so many other problems from misunderstandings and different perspectives, where that helped me kind of really understand they're never going to know what it's like to own a business, especially from nothing, that this is our baby. But especially on those days, I don't know if you guys ever had it, where there's times, I swear to God, we care more about our employees than they care about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and they still end up hurting you one way or the other. But, you know, just life goes on. But you take that home with you, and it's emotionally draining.
That's probably a good thing to say. And it is emotionally draining, right? And I think that the entrepreneur, truly like the business owner, right? Like, and it's tough for people that have never been in that position and aren't in that position to think that way, because the tendency is, you know, and I mean, I'll be honest, like when I was working out of, you know, high school, you know, first kind of out of college, it's like you look at maybe the business owner that you work for, and you're like, oh, they've got this, they've got that. Like, oh, I'm going in and, you know, I'm doing this work, and I'm, you know, that was more of like a construction side of things when I was in that a little bit. But it's like, oh, I know that this gets bid out of this, and I know that this is what's being paid and that type of thing. But then it's like, you don't understand the taxes. You don't understand the expenses. You don't understand. And it's like, it's such a naive, like I'm almost angry at myself, that younger version of myself, for thinking that way now, knowing what I know, because it's like it's a very selfish thing, right? Like to think that way, where it's like, you know, but you know, that at that point, his company that he was running was like, okay, well, I get a paycheck every week and I can go home and just have fun and whatever. I show up to work on time. I work as hard as I can. And then, you know, it's like whatever you get from that. But again, and, you know, Keri and I have talked about this, and I have talked about it, you know, from a business standpoint, but then also I used to get into it more from a training standpoint, right? Because there was certain, you know, guys that would show up to train, and they didn't understand me starting in my parents' garage, right? And I was like, how can I paint this picture for you, and you understand that, like, all of this amazing equipment and all these weights and all this stuff, like endless supply of whatever, came at a cost, right? Like, and it's been worked very hard for and earned. And, you know, it's like somebody would show up, and it was always, it's like you can't peel the layers back to be like, hey, you're going to go train in the garage for 2 years just to understand that, and then you're going to earn your spot, right? Like you're going to be able to work your way into it. There's no way to go back to that, right? And then it was like getting to a point where it's like, oh, it must be nice, Brian, must be nice, right? Must be nice. Like, you don't understand. I was training by myself in an uninsulated garage during the winter, and I would never miss. Yeah. Never miss, right? Like, but it's this building process that you have to go through. Oh yeah. And so it's tough. It is tough. And I don't think that there's I just don't think there's a way for, you know, anybody that hasn't gone through it that way. So like you're saying, the small things, same thing. Like, you know, like the small things matter more than anybody could ever realize. Exactly. Right? Like, and Keri and I talk about this all the time, but it's such a big deal. Yes. It's such a big deal because it's like, as a, you know, well, in the position I'm in, whatever, and you're in too, it's like you say or do one thing wrong, right? The repercussions that could come from that could be massive. Like everything, all of the hard work, right? If you represent yourself wrong, if you say the wrong thing, if you do the wrong thing, like, and it's quick. It could happen real quick and come back. And that's why it's, every single small thing is such a huge thing. It's not even like a small thing. It's huge, right? Especially when you've worked as hard as you have to build what you've built, right? And that's like trying to paint that picture is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, the way, oh, there goes my voice. I knew I was going to lose it.
Oh, man.
Hold on. Yeah, well, I have water. I think it might come back. Oh, man, I was doing so good.
You were, yeah. Maybe another shot of honey.
Yeah. So, have you ever had someone in your podcast taking shots of honey?
No, this is the first. This is the first.
I've been so worried. My voice has been, I don't know what it is. It's gonna come back. Here's what I've realized. Explaining to people how important the little things are, especially from a business owner's point of view. It's just like building a brick wall. The bricks are, like every part of the business, but the mortar is the things that make that wall hold together. And the mortar is making sure everyone shows up on time. The mortar is making sure everyone communicates the right way, respects each other, willing to challenge each other. The mortar in between the bricks is the secret part of making a successful business, in my opinion. And getting people to understand that is so hard. But when they start to, it is one of the best feelings. Because I always don't want to paint the picture like, oh, these employees, blah, blah, blah. My favorite part about my job is the employees. Probably because it's the most challenging part. Love a good challenge.
Yeah.
And they're your most valuable tool. They're your most important tool. They're the ones that you hope that some of them taken on when you're ready to walk away or whatever, right?
Yep.
And when you start to see them become successful, like they're starting to get it, and they start to maybe figure things out their way, but yet they're getting that thing that it's so hard to explain as an entrepreneur. That is such a great feeling, but they are 1 in a billion when you come across those people. But I know exactly what you mean. Is those little things are so very important, because especially too, when those little things aren't getting done or you're having problems with, God only knows what's happened to the big things.
Yeah.
And you just start to freak out and you think I have this horrible PTSD. I've realized from what her and I went through when we were starting the business. It took me until about 3 years ago, I realized how traumatic it was. That I have a horrible PTSD that one little thing, I feel like we're going to lose everything again.
Yep.
It's a horrible feeling. I started looking around online. I was like, I wish there was counseling for CEOs or something like that, because there's a weird thing that happens to us and where I'm starting to realize I'm not the best I can be. Yeah. If I'm flying off the handle over the smallest thing, that's not what you want your captains to be. So it's been absolutely, I wouldn't change it for the world.
No comment.
But I can't, yeah, it's been fun. And it doesn't matter what business it is, but I can tell you, I love entrepreneurship. And that's why I just love talking about it. And honestly, that's why I've been so drawn to you guys. Because yes, Brian Shaw, world's strongest man, but I can spot and see the entrepreneurial side of you.
And it's been for sure, right? And a lot of those conversations that you and I have had have been fascinating, because it's just jump in head first and figure out a way to make it happen. And, I definitely did that with strongman, but I did that with business too. Right. And so it's one of those things that, you have to be willing, to take that jump, but it's also, for me, it's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense.
And
right.
You both are so obsessed. That's the thing that
Yes.
I see you two with
So
is
similar.
you have different crafts, if you will.
For sure. Yep.
But your level of passion, obsession
Yes.
into your craft is like completely next level. And that's the thing. And it's funny because that's kind of how we got connected, is Brian's obsession with learning about a chicken coop and finding the best one, and how can we raise the best chickens to create the best eggs, all that stuff led us to you. But you both have this similar way of thinking where you're obsessed with your craft. And I think that's why you two connect so well.
You're
and I
very
love
similar.
it. One of the things I was going to ask you when you mentioned about just getting in there is just how you are. Are you okay with that? Or did you ever go through a phase as an entrepreneur that people start telling you how you should do your job, or the experts come in and tell you how to do a CRM, or here's how you should do HR or whatever, and you start questioning yourself like, man, maybe I'm not a good CEO, or did you ever go through that? Or are you okay now with saying, you know what, this is just how I am,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm the boss. And if people like it, great, stay. And if they get it, that's wonderful. And the other people that don't get it doesn't mean they're a bad employee. But they can cause major problems if they don't understand how you think.
I've come to realize that there are very, very few human beings that think the way I do. And I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. But in saying that, it's the only way that I have thought, right? So I don't really know a different way to think or approach it. It's every situation, and it's my 2 words are be great. That's what I say. Every single thing that I do, I'm trying to be great. Every single thing. And then like I try to hold myself to a very high standard with everything, which, again, it can be tough. And I think that from
think
your
you
perspective.
Do. And I don't know. I think you touched on this maybe a little bit. I don't know as much as I feel that we're very much in this spot right now of do you ever reach a balance? And I think right now we've been doing a lot of, I don't know if research is the word, studying, reading, watching videos, trying to figure out and learn how do we become better leaders so that we can find a balance in our life. And so as much as you say, you think a certain way, you do things a certain way, and we believe that is the right way, it's also exhausting. Absolutely and utterly exhausting.
Yeah.
We went to bed midnight, and it was if we don't get up at 5 this morning, we won't get in our training. And if we don't get in our training, then we can't hit this meeting, that meeting, et cetera, all day long. And then it's, soccer practice, and then read the kids the stories, and it's exhausting. And so what I will say is that we are trying to learn how to become better bosses so that we can have balance in our life. And I think we're in this spot right now is it's supposed to be there, but we just can't quite figure it out.
Same here.
We can't quite figure it out because fortunately and unfortunately, we are obsessed with what we do. We love what we do, from the littlest part to the biggest part. I can't look at you.
It almost becomes a nightmare, like a disease you can't find a cure for.
We can't, and it's such a blessing and such a curse because we care about every single detail.
Yep.
And we can't let any of them go. And because of that, we are utterly exhausted.
Yep.
But we just love it.
Yeah.
We just love it. And it's trying to figure out, how do you not let your children down, your family down, your friends down, whatever it may be, yourself down? What is date night, and what is date night without talking about work? And
yep.
I can't tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But we search for that. And so I don't know. I think the question you asked him is are you okay with where you're at, and that you've just accepted that? And I think in ways you want to say, yes, I've accepted that. But in other ways, it's midnight and we're oh my God, we have a couple hours. And, you're a professional athlete. You have to recover and you have to sleep, but you can't do that. It's this there's no hamster wheel that we're on.
Well, I think it's you have to then find the why. Yeah. Right? Why, right? And so for us, it's making a difference in people's lives, right? Ultimately, and also what you're doing too, right? And we've talked about this, and I'd love to go into that a little bit more. I mean, it's I think that why it has to be strong enough, right? To keep going and be all right, well, when all the chips are down, it's why, what's the why? What's the mission? Where are we trying to get to? And I think it is you're gonna struggle with that, and that's a very obviously the emotion shows how real it is, because it's something that comes with the territory, right? It's not, and sometimes you maybe bite off a little bit more than you can chew, right? And then you try to figure it out. But I think that why in making a difference, and I mean it's no different than this coop out here, right? That we're looking at, that the memories that will be made with that, and the difference it'll make just for us, right? You get to do that for everybody that's a customer of yours, right? So then, that's end result that is probably so awesome is like, okay, well, people get to have this experience, and then it brings families closer together, right? Like there's a lot of different things that I think are so good that we're excited about. I know with the chickens, it's like, just even from when they first arrived, it's like they're different, and you can start to see a little bit of personality and like, all of these things that and you're talking about the first eggs that are going to come. Like, it's one of these things that's so neat. And I think that with all of the challenge that business can bring, it's also, if you're talking about like the fabric of America, if you will, it's entrepreneurship. I think that. Right? Like it's like being willing to do that and being willing to go through it and get out there. And through that too, what I would hope is that people listening to this, they're inspired by what you've gone through too. And it's maybe some younger person, and to be fair, you can start at whatever age, but it's like, hey, I haven't followed my dream, right? It's been 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I'm just like, I haven't done that. Maybe somebody will listen to this and say, hey, I'm going to take that leap, man. It's like, I've waited too long. Now we're going to go, and the reward on the backside. I mean, as much as you're saying, it's like, I'm so thankful every single day. Right. Like, and then you get to a spot of gratitude where it's like, you're thankful for it. And then,
absolutely. And I'm sorry if I didn't accurately say that, but 100% so thankful for everything, because somehow we've got put in the position that we get to impact people's lives.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hopefully positively impact their lives. And so all those late nights, early mornings, can I go another day, is worth it. 100 times over worth it. It's hard. It's hard, but it's worth it.
It's the craziest thing. It's so hard to explain, but I know exactly what you mean. I'll never forget a moment years ago through our hardships where I was on the road by myself a lot delivering chicken coops. So I'm away from the family or whatnot. And I traveled up and down the East Coast a lot. And I had a friend of mine that lives in DC. So a lot of times that was a halfway point. I would stop at his house, stay the night. And I remember one night I stopped, stayed the night. I had 2 coops on the back of the trailer. And I got up the next morning to obviously continue to head down south. There's a note on my truck. I still have it. I'll never forget this. And the timing couldn't have been better. And I'm a person of faith. And the letter said, thank you so much for building these wonderful structures for your customers to protect God's creatures.
Awesome.
I'll never forget that. I still have it. And that's when I realized, like when you say the why, I said, that's I said, that's why, that's cool. And I'll never forget a prison guard. When I was an exterminator at the federal prison in Butner, I'll never forget a prisoner guard, because I was talking to him a lot. Him and I hit it off. And he said, I know how to make God laugh. I said, how are you going to do that? He goes, I'm going to tell him my plan. And it all just really started to make sense to me, that sometimes you just got to go with it. And that might be why sometimes we just like to jump into it head first without a plan, because we probably thrive better without a plan. Like we kind of really do well in chaos. But yet, if it wasn't for, and this is why, again, I'm so thankful. This is why I wanted the 4 of us here, because if it wasn't for our wives standing by our side, I mean, I know I wouldn't be here. No. And the balance that comes there, and yet they have the hardest job. Like we just get to be the face of the business and run it, make some decisions. They got to help make sure it doesn't fall apart and raise our offspring, raise our children. You know what I mean? Imagine that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to survive without Keri. We actually joke about it, but that's a pretty real scenario.
Yeah. So this is where, and I just always wonder if this is part of the cycle. This is part of the growing pains with a business. So I've learned that talking to other business owners is so helpful, no matter where they are in their the life of their business, and especially the ones that have walked this walk. A lot of times they put my mind at ease, knowing, I'm not alone. This is a very lonely job.
Yep.
And that it's sometimes it's good to have a reset. I love when they kind of tell you some of the things you maybe don't want to hear, but it's true.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be more thankful. And again, like in this situation, I can't wait tomorrow to do the walk around of your guys' chicken coop. I know from, being a parent, it's awesome when you're going to watch your boys. They're going to go up to that egg hutch. It's like the first place they go to, because they want to see, that's like the magical spot. They want to see if the eggs are in there. I've been wanting to ask you guys, so why a chicken coop? Like what made you say, you know what, it's time to have a coop on our property? Is it for the eggs? Is it for the time? You know, what is the reason why you said you want to have a backyard chicken coop?
I think it was a number of different reasons. To be fair, I've been somewhat obsessive over the quality of the food that I eat. So that's been, you know, a big thing. And then, you know, as different research has come out about eggs and the quality of eggs, and, you know, like I'm fascinated by that. But then, like you're saying, the quality of the eggs that'll come out here is going to be second to none.
Yes.
Right. Which is huge. And I love eggs. Okay. Love them. I eat a lot of eggs. So
how many eggs do you eat a day on average?
So I would say the top end was like 2 dozen a day, top end, that I would actually eat. Right?
No kidding.
Yeah. So because for certain periods, I even experimented with having eggs as part of every single meal. So it's like even meat and eggs.
Sure.
Every single, like, you know, somewhere between, you know, I don't know, 4 to 6 per meal with every single meal. Which I guess if I did 6, that would be more than, so probably 24 to 30. At the very, very top end. But I would say pretty normal now is like close to a dozen, like 8, somewhere between 8 and 12.
Yeah, those times when they put restrictions on how many eggs you could purchase was a problem in our household.
Yeah, because I'm eating it. Keri likes eggs too. So I think it was like the quality. I'm very excited about the quality of the eggs.
Yeah.
And then, you know, with us, with our boys, this last year we transitioned over to homeschool. And that was another driving force because, you know, we want them to have responsibilities, right? And things that we can do with them. And especially this will be an everyday thing that they can do as well. And I think that, you know,
I just want to teach them those lessons. And
yeah.
I don't know if I can say life skills, but like this is a starting spot. And, you know, our youngest jokes, he keeps telling me he wants a cow that he can milk. And I'm like, well, you know what? You can start with the chickens and we'll see. But it, you know, yes, the quality of the food is very important. But another thing we discussed was for our boys, this responsibility, but also like taking care of them, like every single day, being out there. I just really believe that you build character in doing things like that. You know, anything from sports teams, but taking care of your animals, your responsibilities. Like they're young right now, but they're not too young to learn stuff like that.
They're going to learn so much from this experience. And starting with chickens is perfect. I also got to warn you, after chicken math, chickens are the gateway drug to homesteading.
You said that a lot of times. Yeah.
I'm open to it.
Yes,
I am open to that.
There is, in my opinion, nothing better, especially for young boys. Like I'm like almost on this mission that I know what I went through as a young boy. And I thought I was not smart. I thought I was hopeless. Like I struggled because of what I saw everyone else doing. And I just realized once I was able to learn with my hands, I excelled. Yeah. You know?
Goats are next.
What's that?
Goats are next.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
is that the second?
Yeah.
Goats? Yeah.
Usually you go to goats. Bees are good. It's always good to have honey. And I tell you, I love homeschooling. I hate to say it. You know, I guess I'm always looking at the positive side of things. She looks at the opposite.
But you balance each other out.
Yeah, so it's a good...
I'm very realistic.
There's so many times I'm like...
How funny is that? That is so funny because that Keri would be the realistic one.
I'm not pessimistic. I'm realistic.
No, you're pessimistic. There's so many times
Keri has to bring me back to reality. That's so funny you say. I'm sorry.
No, like he does the Z, and then the hook sets, and I'm like, whoa, you got to bring it in a little bit.
Some you got to do some reeling. Yeah.
I don't know. I just love it.
Right?
Yes,
you feel
100%. He has this idea, and I'm like, I need a little bit of time.
No,
need to figure out how we can make that work. Like
there's no time.
There's no time.
You have to do it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a saying: it's balls to the wall or nothing at all. And it's just I will not do it if I can't do it 100%, and I will just get after it 100 miles an hour. And I'm so thankful for my team that has stayed by my side. I've had I don't know how many employees come and go, and I've gotten better. That was another thing I had to learn as an entrepreneur. You got to cut them loose. You can't save them. You can't fix them. They don't want to be fixed. Yeah. And it's like, but yet they get more attention than the ones that really are sticking by your side 100% through thick and thin. I mean, I got employees that they'll take a bullet for this company. I mean, it's just unreal how far we've come. So when you guys get your chicken coop and you got your baby chicks now, and how many baby chicks do you have now?
We have 15.
Yeah, 15. Awesome. And I forget, how old are they right now?
They've been here a week and 2 days. Yeah.
Okay. So they're not going to lay eggs until about 21 weeks. So we got some time before that, and we'll definitely obviously get into more of this tomorrow. One of the things I was really curious about, and this is the thing I'm also very passionate about that we've just seen recently with bird flu, right? We've seen a shortage of eggs. We've seen egg prices go through the roof.
Yeah.
But imagine no eggs.
Yeah.
Especially in this situation, you require this or once upon a time. I mean, you're still training professionally.
Sure.
Here is something that you said earlier when we were walking around your weight room that I found amazing. And it reminded me so much of every time we sold a coop, whatever money we had left over, I put it right back into the business. Yep. And you said that's what you had to do with your equipment. You're not putting it back in just so you can exercise more. You're putting it back into your business.
Yep.
And it made so much sense. I can't imagine how important then when you're fitness training to the level you are, you need your nutrients, you need your intake.
Yep.
And I can't imagine what would happen if you don't have eggs.
Yeah, it's not, well, this is part of it was certainly, as I said, there was multiple, reasons for this, but that is definitely one where you'd go to get eggs and they weren't available. That was a problem. Or there was a restriction on how many you could get, which they did here in Colorado. I don't know if they did that everywhere,
with eggs or food, but in general, we want to be able to control our situation,
world.
World. Yep. So
imagine
that.
Yeah.
He's giving me the look.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
But we want to be able to control if we can feed our family healthy foods.
Yes.
And I know to some that may sound absurd, but we want to be in control of being able to provide nutritious food for our family.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm so thankful, not to get political, but it's amazing to learn how bad our food has been, especially us growing up in the 80s. I remember as a kid thinking, oh yeah, great, fluoride, or thank God there's no lead pipes around here. Thank God there's no asbestos. Yeah. And it seems like, oh my God, we have been poisoning ourselves more than ever.
Horrible.
And I am so thankful. I had no idea, and that it has to become political.
That whole time there were no fruit in Fruit Loops.
I know, right?
I know.
Yeah. But that's where I have realized why this is such an important thing that we're doing, and you talk about the why, is history always repeats itself. And if you think about it, what's happening is we're going back to living like how they did back in the old days, but with today's standards, and that's really what Carolina Coops is all about, is you're going to have the ability to walk outside and know exactly what those chickens are eating, and whatever they're eating is what is in your eggs, and you have now control, for the most part, over at least that part of your food supply. And God forbid, do we got tinfoil hats? We have I'll never forget, our chicken expert once said, I was going earring shopping for her for diamond earrings. She likes sparkly things. Yeah. And I was struggling, and she goes, one day chickens are going to be worth more than diamond earrings. And I never really thought about that, but if we can't eat, we got a serious problem.
Big time.
And yet I'm just so thankful that people are finally still, we've been doing this almost 20 years. I remember 5 years into it, people are like, Matt, you're crazy. This is just a fad. I'm like, I don't think so. And I don't care if it is. I'm going after it, right? Yep. And it's like, and I don't think we've seen the worst of it.
Yeah.
Now people ask if this is a fad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't try to tell us. Now they're like, do you think this is just a fad?
Yeah. We all love eggs. Eggs are never going to go away. At least I hope they don't. I don't like the alternatives. Yeah. Like, I don't know, you, again, as a professional trainer, and you got to have these eggs. There are things now where they're growing soldier fly larvae that chickens absolutely love, but using them to create protein so they can print food.
Yeah. It's a scary, some of that stuff is super scary, because the quality of food has just gone down and down and down and down, right? So even what we would have had as kids, right, as a snack food, some type of snack food, if you look at the ingredient list from, let's just say, the 80s, 90s, right, to right now, it's probably 3 or 4 times as long with a whole bunch of garbage, right? So it's like, oh, I had these crackers or these chips or whatever when I was a kid. Yeah, there was probably a pretty short ingredient list, and now it's scary. It really is scary, because a lot of adults, I think for their kids, oh, well, I had that as a kid. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing, right? Not even close. And I think that's what's that's what's really scary. But I think as the consumer market becomes more educated about what they are putting into their body, then this is where the everything is going to change. And I think, with some of the stuff that's coming out now, I'm really excited about, because I've been on the quality of the water. And like, I mean, Keri, I'm much more in that realm than she has been, but I'm like, you absolutely cannot drink the tap water. Do not do it. Right. And this is, now we're on a well and we treat the water.
Now we do, because we had to get the biggest possible filtration system for the house that we could get.
Yeah. But the thing is, you think of water as something you drink every single day, right? The quality of it. If
you cook with it, and you bathe with it.
Yes. Everything.
You soak your kids in it.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
When I was underworked and overpaid when we were in New York before we moved to North Carolina, I got into a hobby that is extremely challenging, and it was growing coral. Fell in love with it. I had no idea what was in our tap water. And that's when I learned how bad that city water is.
Can I help you? Okay, thank you.
We're having, speaking of homeschooling kids, we have Kellen joining in.
Yeah, and speaking of homeschooling, that's something we started.
There was not any dirt bike riding when I went to school.
I know. I love that you guys are riding dirt bikes, but I tell you, I wanted to write a book on what we have done for homeschooling. It's almost not even a hack, but something that I wish people thought about or knew was an option, because I'm a huge fan of homeschooling. I know some people can't stand it, but you can make that argument for another day.
Some people don't like eggs, and that's okay.
I know. But anyways, so the quality of the eggs, you're going to have a lot of eggs. I can't wait for you guys to get those.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, sorry to finish what I was saying. It's like people don't realize, the scary part is people just don't realize what they are eating, what they are drinking, how bad it can possibly be.
I didn't know how bad plastic was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we can't win anymore. It is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, certain ones, it's even like the BPA-free stuff. It's like, you just got to be careful.
Yeah, and now we got 10 grams of microplastics in our brain. It's like, man, and what else don't we know? It's really scary. So your fan base is that listens to this podcast got to be wondering, man, I never even thought about getting backyard chickens. They're probably maybe even living in a condo, going to the gym. Sorry, here I go with my hands. I wanted to really have that conversation with you, because you are a professional trainer, and you're getting into backyard chickens so that you can have the eggs, have the experience with your family.
Yep.
What else would you tell your core fan base that are in training right now that are probably never even thought about having backyard chickens? Why else should they get into having backyard chickens, other than, have the food supply? Is there anything else that's unique for your type of lifestyle?
Well, I would say number one, and this is just coming through some of the research that I did. I think one of the big kind of barriers to entry, if you will, was like, oh, they're going to be messy and they're going to be so hard to take care of, and the time commit, all that, which was scary. But it's like, and through the research that I did, and some of the stuff that we'll talk about with, the maintenance of the coop and this, it's like, it's really not bad.
It's
right?
so easy.
And,
with the right
now
coop.
it's something. So I think that was one of the big sticking points. And I think Keri and I even talked about that. It was like, oh my gosh, like with how busy we are, is this something we can take on? Is it something that's realistic?
I think the feeding of them, the watering of them, the cleaning of them. And again, something that led us to you guys is it's not every single day. It's not every single week. And I guess it was Ethan. Now I can't remember who told us this, that the cleaning process could be well over a year.
Easily.
You don't even have to, even at a year or so.
I say that hesitantly, because people are going to listen and think, and maybe you could elaborate a little bit for us on that. But people are thinking, well, that's gross. You don't clean out your coop for over a year. I'm sorry, what?
So absolutely. So one of the things why I'm so excited about this collaboration with you getting a chicken coop, is I know that most people that probably in fitness, I could be wrong, okay? I hope people aren't going to beat me up, probably never even thought about going out and getting backyard chickens so they can get their eggs, right? For whatever reason, might be because it just doesn't jive with the normal lifestyle of I'm going to go homestead or I'm going to go, be a hippie or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, we all got to eat. We all should care about our food and our health. And what my mission has been is make it easy for everyone. And what we have done is perfected a chicken coop style and the DNA in all of our chicken coops that is so easy that we actually get criticized for it from the people that are like, want to make it sound like it's real hard. They want to, like my biggest one that I can't stand is they think, oh, you got to go out and clean your coop every day. If you don't clean your coop every day, you're the worst chicken owner in the world and you got to clean it with sand. And I'm like, that is not what chickens want. Chickens do not want to be on a beach. It's not natural. Chickens want to be in the woods. And it's just that kind of conversation. And then, yes, so thank you for bringing that up because you guys are very busy. You're always traveling. And what I love is that we've been able to live the old world lifestyle with today's technology, today's standard. So starting with the deep litter system, you will easily, and please trust me on this, go over a year without cleaning out your hen house. We're going to get into depth tomorrow about how that works, but all you're doing is composting inside your hen house. You got to make sure you don't overload your diaper. If you have too big of a baby for too small of a diaper, you're going to need to clean your hen house out more. So we're going to really talk about that coop to chicken ratio tomorrow and how easy it really is.
We really need another term for that.
I know, but that's my favorite because I think it really makes sense, right?
Diapers were not your favorite. Thank you.
Well, so you just got to make sure.
You're a team.
You have to make sure that you got the right amount of carbon to help compost the nitrogen. And you're going to do the same thing in your run. Now, your run is massive. It's 48 feet long. And I can't remember if you're going to free range or not. And again, we'll get into that tomorrow. But you have the perfect run substrate in there with the hardwood mulch and the topsoil, a little bit of manure. We'll end up putting a dust bath in there. But yes, we have made it so you guys can travel. And the only thing you'll want to do is everyone typically has a neighbor that is more than happy to come over and collect the eggs for you. And you just say, keep the eggs. That's your pay for coming over and collect the eggs.
Well, now that's become even more valuable.
Oh, absolutely. We just had a customer We just had a customer down in Florida. It was on the news. Someone cut into their chicken coop and stole their chickens.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And that's not the first time this happened. This just happened recently down in Florida. So, yes, you can go over a year without having to clean it out. You can actually go 2 to 3 years without cleaning it out. It all depends on that nitrogen load. And then with the water system, where you can set it up where you collect rainwater.
You really don't even have to clean it out because of the garden. If you just take out enough of what you need for fertilizer for the season, that gives, like if you take out half of it to use for fertilizer, that just freed up so much more space for you to continue to add the industrial hemp, which we use for our deep litter, right back in it without having to clean. Now you're using it, so you're removing some of it, but you're not actually having to go out and clean
Isn't
out
that
your
interesting?
coop.
Yeah, that's the other part too, because again, chickens are the gateway drug to homesteading. So it's not just about getting more animals. I'm not sure if you're into gardening yet, but being able to grow your own vegetables, you're going to find out Miracle Grow has nothing on chicken droppings. And then you'll find out about rabbit droppings, which is phenomenal. You can't screw that up. You can't add too much. But yeah, it doesn't stop just inside the hen house. That's really just the beginning. If you think about it, you're like now saying you're going to take that fertilizer out, put it in your garden, put it in another second stage of composting. And it's just a constant cycle. And the best part is your boys are going to learn this. They're going to learn lessons.
Which is awesome. I mean, it's that, and that's the part. And I mean, I don't know that I fully answer your question where you're saying like, okay, like people, that are into fitness, thinking about this. But I think the thing that will resonate the most is if you're going to eat something, like we said, the water, right? If you're going to drink something every day, if you're going to eat something every single day, if the quality of that goes up, you're going to get better results.
You're going to go up.
Yes. It's quite literally, it's what you are digesting. And so for me, that would be by far the strongest point. And that's where it's like, okay, I'm trying to right now actively buy the best eggs that I possibly can from the store. But now I'm going to go way above that level, what I could get in a store. And now I have that. And that's what's going to show up through all my hard work and all my training and everything, all the discipline that's already there. Now I get to have something to fuel me. and to help me recover, right? So it's just, I mean, not the eggs are going to be the only thing that you're going to eat, but you're going to eat them every day.
It's a start.
Yes, 100%. So it's, you know, I mean, you're looking at it in that capacity, but now that we've touched on how easy it can be, so now that is not a problem, where I think that a lot of people are like, whether they're active in training, it's like, oh, well, I just don't have time. But that's not, it's not a factor really, because you can have time to do it. And then also it's, you know, I would say, and this is something we'll probably get into a little bit more, and I don't know because I haven't had chickens, but I feel like it's going to be so fun. It's like, you know, obviously I have our dog, but it's like, you know, it's another pet, a whole bunch of pets, right?
Chickens are very therapeutic. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. Years ago, I'll never forget selling a chicken coop to a lady. I followed up with her like 3 or 4 weeks later, asked her how it was going. She started crying.
Interesting.
And I said, what's going on? She goes, I can't thank you enough. I said, what do you mean? She goes, my husband stopped drinking because of these chickens. He was an alcoholic. I had no idea, but he was an alcoholic, and she was just so thankful. And that is another thing that people don't understand about having chickens. There is something about seeing them be chickens, just to get out and scratch and eat and scratch and eat. I mean, that's all they do. They scratch, eat, and poop all day.
Sure.
And then they're going to go in, lay an egg, and they got breakfast, and they're going to go to sleep at night on the roost bars.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. But there's something that's very, very therapeutic about it. And this is part of the problem with chicken math. You're going to find out about how easy they are and how lovely they are. And you're like, wow, I want more chickens, because now I want to add different colors to my painting of chickens, if you will.
Yeah.
Where
Different colored eggs.
you're going to find about the chocolate Orpingtons, Jubilee Orpingtons. You're going to find out about the Polish that have feathered top hats. And then the color of the eggs. That's my favorite part. That's when you know you've gone over the edge, is you're going to have, I don't know if we talked about this, you'll have what you call your fruit basket of eggs, because you don't refrigerate your eggs. You're not supposed to refrigerate your eggs. That's a big mistake we make here in America, but we have no choice because of how dirty the mass production system is for the eggs. They have to be cleaned or we would never buy them. Your eggs are going to be spotless. That's all about the setup. So you do not have to clean them. You do not want to clean them. You're going to put them in a bowl. You're going to put them on your dining room table. You're going to put them on your kitchen counter. And when you have friends over, they're going to be like, are those eggs? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, green? Blue?
All the awesome colors.
The dark speckled eggs. Like, I love
that. Was part of our picking them out. We were like, what color egg will that?
Yeah, it said what color
it is
what
the best.
color the chickens would lay, and it was like we were doing that with the boys. It was really fun to be like,
because our children were saying like, oh, I want a blue egg, or I want the brown egg, but they were so excited about them. For us, it was such a learning experience because everyone thinks you just get white eggs, and now people think you could just get brown eggs, but that's the end of it. Most people would think.
That's right. I had no idea, and I am obsessed with the avocado green eggs. I'm a big Brady Bunch fan, so I love those 70s colors. I always think of the color of that counter.
The light green ones are not good enough. He has to have the dark green.
Well, then when you go to eat all these eggs in the morning, you're going to find out if you got OCD or not. You're like, okay, I got to have all the same brown eggs, or do you want to mix it up, or the different sizes?
That's funny. That is funny.
So real quick, just to go back to the fitness part. So that makes sense. And that's something that makes sense, but I didn't think about that. Okay, we want to have fresh eggs, we want to have good quality eggs, but for you and your audience that's listening, that's really big in training. It's about the quality.
Big time.
And if the quality, whatever you eat is what you are. If the quality goes up, you go up.
You're gonna put all the work into training, all the work into recovery, all the work into so many different things now. And there's a lot of things out there that you can do, but you're going to eat every single day. So if you do not look at the quality of the food that you're putting into your body, that's a massive mistake. And a lot of, and I think that, certain, and it's evolved a lot in the sport of strongman, but when I came in, there was really no nobody follows a diet. It's just, you get as many calories as you possibly can from even junk food, right? Like you're going to eat pizza and burgers and fries and shit, like as much as you can basically cram down. That's what you're doing. And that was kind of, in a nutshell, that was just the way that, I'm gaining, right? Like I'm going to be this. And then it was like this transition from that to now where it's like, okay, well, quality food is going to make a difference. And it's, if you think of yourself as a high performance machine, let's just say a race car, right? Like the type of fuel you put into the race car is going to make the car run better. So that resonated with me pretty quickly. And so that's where I kind of started to get more obsessed with the quality of food, and this would be the same thing as the equipment, like investing back into myself. So at the beginning, I couldn't really afford the top quality stuff. That's just not. It was not the way it was, right? So it was like I was eating, tuna and tuna shakes, like whatever I could do to make that happen.
Hold on, tuna shake.
It's gross, yeah. So
is it literally what I think?
Tuna and orange juice blended. Yeah. So that's, yeah. But that was all I could afford, right? Because tuna was whatever, 50 cents a can or something.
Why did you have to mix the two together?
Well, it's because the orange juice blanded out the tuna a little bit.
Oh, did you not like tuna?
Not drinking it. I didn't want to do it with water. So it's like, and also I got some carbs out of it. So the orange juice, yeah. Yeah, it was. You go through these phases, man. It's like the dumpster in the wood.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at certain points, you just need to do what you need to do. But it's, like as you get there, it's like you invest back into yourself, right? So a lot of people, didn't really realize. Like for me, at certain points, I was, and this is before I had any help with any of it, right? It's like you're buying. So if I'm eating 5 to 6 pounds of grass-fed organic meat every single day, right? Plus everything else. I mean, you're talking upwards of like $3,000 a month just to eat, So that was an investment because like, all right, well, if I'm putting this quality fuel in, that's what I'm getting out. Right. So that was the way that I looked at it in my head. And so I think that will resonate with people. And it's like, and then if you get all of these benefits without like having to worry about every single day I'm cleaning the chicken coop and every single day I'm doing this. Like if you take that barrier of entry out, now it's like, well, I get this amazing quality food, the best eggs I could possibly get and put in my body, and it's not hard. Right. And I think that's where, like for me, as we were talking, it was legitimately a concern of mine for sure. I can say that. It's like, it was like, well, I don't know. I think we can dedicate the time, but also I'm looking at Keri as she's trying to do the million things that she does and I'm doing, and we're running in these separate directions. It's like, well, if we bring these chickens in, I want to take care of them. And if it's going to be this massive time commitment, I don't know if we can do that.
You're going to love going to your coop. It's going to be your favorite part of your day, be honest with you.
And that's what's so exciting. It already is, to be fair. It's like just walking to the gym and back and forth. It's like, how cool is that? And I can't wait to see the chickens out there. And it's like, I probably will stop by every single time I walk by just to say hi and what's going on. Like
he'll be out there talking to the chickens.
You'll be sitting out there watching them.
Throw them a handful of mealworms every time you pass by because they need their protein also.
There we go.
I'm dying to know, when you say that you eat about a dozen eggs a day, how are you eating them? Are you frying them, scrambling? Are you eating them raw?
What's your favorite?
Yeah.
Most of the time it's just scrambled.
Okay.
I love all kinds of eggs, and I have done them raw in my shake. Typically I'd put in like a protein shake, and that's the way that I've done that. Not just, I do have friends of mine that will just crack them and put them in a cup and just drink them, like, kind of mix them up and just drink them because they claim that it's easier and just saves them time, whatever. I don't know. I haven't really gone down that path yet, but it's I would say scrambled.
So when you're scrambling them, are you just scrambling them straight? Are you putting in some water, some half and half, heavy cream?
Just straight. Typically, I do it just a little bit of butter and cook it that way, and then some salt. So and I love it, but I cannot wait to taste like what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's night and day. But yeah, the quality. So I think that is a great point. Yeah, the quality is so much better, especially than store-bought eggs.
And life is so much nicer when you can enjoy what you eat.
Yeah. 100%. And in knowing where it came from too. Like, I think that's something that I haven't really had. I mean, my uncle had a farm, so we got beef from there, and so that was, you learn where it's coming from and like help a little bit to a certain extent, so I think some of those things are really cool. And Keri had that experience too growing up. So it's kind of already there, right? Like, and I don't know that we'll graduate all the way to having cows or whatever, but it's like,
we're going to have to find balance.
Yeah, balance.
We graduate to having cows.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what you're going to want to do is get goats, because goat's milk is awesome.
I have heard that a couple times now. I have.
Definitely try it. We have a video that we did a blind taste test because I've never had it until we did the blind taste test. I did with my father and my daughter.
And you preferred it?
We loved it.
Even Mike.
Yeah, even my
milk.
son. Yeah, goat's
The
milk
pickiest eater.
and raw, not pasteurized.
Okay.
I know that might freak out a lot of people, but
No, but so
we're
much better for you. Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
It's crazy. And goats are a lot of fun. Goats are a lot of fun.
Yeah. They have quite a bit of personality.
Tons of
From what I have
personality.
seen, yeah.
Yeah, and we even make, this sounds like a plug, but it's not, but again, we've made it so easy to even have goats, but we're all about understanding the instincts that these animals have. Yeah. And a lot of times when you go to the farm, the goats are going into like a run and a run out. Do you got to go and make payroll?
I do.
I know.
I do. But I also have to take a
pee break. But anyways, yes, we have a goat house. We'll talk about that when that time comes, and I'll tell you about our duck house that floats on the pond.
Maybe have to do like an update of how are things going. And
I want to come back in a year and do this again.
Okay.
With the goat house.
Well, just to see how it's going. I think a follow
Series 2.
I think
Series 2 goat house. I don't. Yeah.
I shouldn't say I'm probably more for it. I think we're both very open.
Open.
I don't know.
I would say that's the right way to say it.
And that's not normal. I don't hear that a lot.
We just want to enjoy life with our children. And I resonate so much how you say about when you were growing up and like you just wanted to learn with your hands and you weren't so good in the classroom. I say that I resonate with that as a mother of two boys. I was a girl that could sit in a desk for hours and do exactly what I was told to do.
And I was more like, I needed to move.
But
I need to get outside.
we as parents are so open to that. Like that's one of the reasons our kids are homeschooled. That's why we're so excited about the chicken coop is like, we just want our kids to have all those experiences and those experiences outside and just getting dirty. And if that means goats are next, like I'm open to that.
You need to get dirty. We forget. When's the last time when you got sick, someone said to you to eat chicken noodle soup? I haven't heard it in a long time.
Yeah, that was the go-to
back in the day because the chicken meat that we ate, those chickens were on soil. That's how it made us better. And where we screwed up in this country is we broke that. We created a barrier between soil and our food. When you really think about it, convenience has offered food to be turned into a poison and be very readily available and cheap. That's what this all comes down to. When you really break it down, it's just that simple.
Yeah.
And all we got to do, whenever you're thinking about what am I going to do outside, what is the why? Get back to that soil, get back to the sunshine, and everything will be great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So where can people find out more information if they want to learn about Carolina Coops? They're excited about this.
They want to get their own chickens.
Yeah.
Yes.
So come to carolinacoops.com.
carolinacoops.com.
Yeah, and Coops is COOPS, not COUPS. Sometimes people get that screwed up. carolinacoops.com. We have a wonderful website.
The chickens, not the cars.
I cannot emphasize enough that I'm very proud that we've become the number one in the world. We ship these coops all around the world. We love what we do. Because of that, I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands, of people are pretending to be us, copying us. They will ghost our website. They'll clone the website. They will pretend to be me. I did one day in my podcast. I was telling you earlier, this is actually very therapeutic to me.
Yeah.
I walked in. We didn't plan on having a podcast that day. My social media guy goes, "We got a problem." I'm like, "Oh no, now what?" He goes, "This guy has completely copied our website, and it was carolinacoops.com."
Oh, wonderful.
I'm like, "You got to be kidding me."
Yeah.
My instincts were, I got to go live. I'm going to go into the studio, and I got to let everyone know. We got to get this guy shut down.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, who's been with me for a very long time, I don't know how many years, she's at
Almost
the time
10.
in sales. Yeah. I don't know if she had a previous life in the CIA or the Secret Service or whatever. She got this guy on the phone.
Oh, wow.
And I pretended to be a customer.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I lasted about, I think, 30, 40 minutes. I couldn't do it anymore because I was so angry because he was pretending to work next to me. He has pictures of me and my family on his website, our website.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was nuts. It's an unreal, it's probably my favorite podcast because it doesn't get any realer than that. That's a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then the guy, when I told him, he got real impatient. He's like, "Yeah, you just send me a deposit. Just send me a deposit. I cannot tell people enough out there. We are not pushy. We love to analyze our coops from every angle. We want to get you the best coop, answer every question you can possibly have. But these people that are the criminals, copying people, they're pushy for a deposit because that's all they're going to do. They're going to take your money. And if the deal is
nothing.
Yes. And if the deal is too good to be true, trust me, it's not. So anyways, CarolinaCoops.com. And of course, we have all our social media platforms, just like all other businesses do that we try to keep up on.
Honestly, like if you want to gain knowledge about chicken coops and if you can't tell how passionate you are from this, it's just, I don't know what you're listening to, but it's one of those things where the passion, the love is there. It's coming from a great spot. And just for Keri and I, like us dealing with you guys has been wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
And it's like every step, we'll learn more as we do the tour of the coop for sure. But it's like just everything has been thought about. Every single detail is covered. It's been incredible.
Thank you.
It's one of those things where I can't recommend it high enough.
You guys
been
lead
awesome.
With love for what you do and love for the chickens. And
that's what I love.
I love following the stories on Instagram because I'm learning from them, and we have a lot of learning to do.
Yes,
and we're very real. I have no problem being an open book and being honest. Like when we make mistakes, we're open about it because we're learning, and I want the best for our customers.
We're human.
Yeah, and I don't take it lightly how much customers trust us now. So I appreciate those compliments.
It's been built, and it will continue to be built.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun talking. We'll do the update. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun stories to go along with that as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I hope you all doing amazing. For now, going to be great. We'll check you guys later. If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.